Hi there everyone and welcome back to this playthrough of the board game Rome Total War as we make our way through a campaign. We are at the end of the first turn and what I want to do was just to take some time to analyse the board state at this stage. Now what I've done is I've taken a still from a video from the end of the spending phase, so it is really grainy and a bit rubbish, but you can make out some of the key details at this stage. I do promise you going forwards I've actually got proper good high quality stills, so if you're able to bear with me here, I promise that it will be better in future. But for now, let's just get stuck into what's happened. So Greece has gone first, then it was the barbarians, then Rome, and then Carthage. So let's take a look and see what Greece has actually done. So if we go ahead and we actually just have a look here, you can see that they've made their way along here into the Anatolian peninsula there, and making their way down and captured a little region there that has actually got a port in it, which is really useful because you can use that to gain further income later on. So that means that they've got a port there. They've actually also captured one over here as well, so that's going to be great for income. But they've also actually got I believe it's one and then two there, so already right there that set them up with 4 income going forwards. What you'll also notice is that they have also gone ahead and actually captured this region up here, which is one of the mercenary regions, so that's a great start from them. What you can also see here, which is really key, is that they've also gotten out their navy and been quite aggressive with what they've done with their navy there. So it's taken out and come over here and into here. So the great thing about them coming here is that they are cutting off the Carthaginians from getting access to this kind of area over here. If I can just show you, getting access to over here, because they'll be able to intercept in this region. But it also means that they can intercept here as well. So that means that this whole it's about 40% of the board actually. This kind of 40% of the board over here has actually been kind of cut off to the Carthaginians, at least by sea. So it's important at this stage that the Greeks continue to develop their navy in order to have that naval superiority. That's going to be absolutely key to ensure that they're able to capture this part of the board over here. You can also see that what they've done is that they've actually been moving forwards up towards the north, but have they done enough here as they're starting to create a barrier with the Romans there? So let's just go ahead and draw that out so you can see. So there's a very clear barrier that has been created, but they do need to be very careful. As I said, Greece actually went first, which meant that the Romans were able to see what the Greeks were going to do. The Greeks have come up to here and finished just south of this river here, and what that means is that there has then been another line, pardon me, take that one away, there's been another line drawn up here, whereby the Greeks have managed to capture these regions up until this river, but they haven't gone across and actually looked at these regions here, which also have mercenaries. And it's not just that they're cut off from having mercenaries, but it means that the barbarians themselves have also managed to come forwards and capture these regions. Putting a lot of pressure on the Greeks now in terms of their expansion. It kind of means that the Greeks are now going to have to expand down towards out over here and down to the south here, but it means that they're really hemmed in. And so just as this has been taking place, what I would really recommend is that if you find yourself in a position like this, in my view, the Greek armies actually are stronger coming into the start of the game. And so what I'd actually recommend is to actually be really aggressive against the barbarians here. So to take an army and go up and just attack the barbarians, get them out of there, because what you can do is if you can push them back from here, then you can actually re-establish a line further over here, and that means that you're going to open up this whole part of the board up here as well. And from essentially just owning like that kind of portion of the board there, and then also this portion over here, you're going to get an economic victory very, very quickly. But if you're going to allow the barbarians to put pressure on you over here, that's going to make things really, really tight. The only problem with trying to go up there, which was the calculation that was made here, is that you have to go forwards and capture that region, and then you'd have to go and fight the barbarians here, and then you'd have to dislodge them, and then you'd have to fight. So the problem that you have here is that if you move forwards and even manage to destroy this barbarian army, you do risk actually the Greek army getting destroyed in the process as well, which might actually still be worthwhile, just because you want to get those barbarians away from you and ensure that you're not going to be like how it's ending up here, hemmed in there. So the Greeks are in a really strong position to be able to move further out here and down there. They're creating a nice kind of box there with their navy, and they've also managed to push create a boundary with the Romans there. So a decent start from the Greeks, I would say. Next you have the barbarians, who have been incredibly offensive in their strategies here. So you can see that they've moved over here into Britannia, and that they have managed to capture that there, which is absolutely brilliant. I call that the moon. They've also managed to move across here and capture this region with the mercenaries, and this is really, really significant and incredibly risky, because in order to get there you have to capture 1, 2 and then 3 regions, and they managed to do that in this turn with very few losses, which is incredibly lucky for them to have been able to do that, because the success of this mission really depends upon being able to get across there and not lose too much. So barbarians had a really, really lucky opening there, and as you can see are applying a lot of pressure onto the Romans and the Greeks, establishing a nice line here already, and if we can do that there, forcing the Greeks and the Romans in together, which is a brilliant move. It does mean that they are perhaps a bit overextended. Going to have to continue to develop the army that is sitting up here. That's going to be really, really key. But as you can see as well, that they've moved forwards and captured a region here. They've got an army who's now well positioned to be able to go on the offensive against the Romans down there. So continuing to put some pressure there. However, you have to be cautious about that, because you don't want to put too much pressure on the Romans that they abandon the line back over here, giving the Greeks an opportunity to attack into that region there, and then actually that's going to then put some pressure onto your supply line. So you don't necessarily want to press that too much. The way that I tend to put it is that you want to advance on 2 fronts, set yourself up with the potential to move on a 3rd, and then have 1 army in defense. That's what I tend to say when I'm doing this. You can also see that this army has come down here, captured this region, and this is absolutely key. In particular, it's got a port in it, which is really, really great for setting up your setting yourself up economically, because you can place a market there and get income from it. But then they've also moved over to here and beginning to establish what I refer to as the wall. So cutting off the Iberian Peninsula there, holding the Carthaginians at bay, and creating a nice box there that you can operate in and gather a lot of income from, which is absolutely brilliant. So already seeing that starting there, so setting up this defensive line by the Iberian Peninsula. So the barbarians really, really well set up going into this round here. Next up we have the Carthaginians themselves. So the Carthaginians have moved forwards. You can see that they've actually pressed up through here, looking themselves perhaps to set up the wall. What you will notice is that they didn't decide to move forwards into Britannia, because you have the opportunity that you actually can go 1, 2, and 3 up into here, but because the barbarians have already captured it there, then it didn't make any sense to do that. So they've moved up to try and secure the Iberian Peninsula, which again would give them a beautiful kind of box there, and they would have all of this territory down in this bottom corner of the map. You can also see that they have moved across the desert, and are now looking like they'll be able to take Alexandria and Memphis over here, which are some brilliant regions to capture, some brilliant mercenary units available there as well. And perhaps somewhere over here being able to establish a line with the Greeks there, and create something that is going to be good and defensive there. What they need to make sure is that they don't end up getting cut off by the Greeks moving their navy down to here, and potentially with one of their armies, cutting off their supply line, causing them to have to pull an army back, and then actually just leaving them open to being attacked by the Greeks, who would then be able to perhaps move the army down here and capture some of these regions in the later games. So they do have to watch out for that. You can also see that there's been a little bit of the defensive maneuvering here. So they've captured this region down in here. This is really great because it's another mercenary region, and in particular they get access to Nubian elephants in there, so a fantastic one to go after on turn number 1. And then also you'll notice that they have kept one of their armies aside here. Great to leave one there in Carthago, just in case the Romans decide to get some ideas and want to try and attack. It also means that you're in a position to go on the offensive if you want to go out into some of these islands, or perhaps take on the Romans over there as well. So great to leave an army there as well. So you can see that they are attacking up into here, attacking out there, consolidating the ground that they have here, but leaving themselves open to defend, or perhaps even go on the offensive in the future. Lastly, then, we have the Romans, and the Romans, I think, are perhaps in the weakest position. So you can see that they do have a sphere of influence down over here, but at the same time, that is that going to be enough for them? Because it's about the income game at the end of the day. Are they going to be able to earn enough? So you can see that they've come down and captured the ball at the end of the foot, what is now modern day Sicily. So they've captured that there. They've got one of their fleets out and preparing perhaps to go and attack one of these islands. You can also see that they've got a fleet up here, which they use to facilitate the movement of that army. Also puts a bit of pressure onto the Greeks there as well, so making it a challenge to the Greek supremacy as they are attempting to try and dominate the waters there. So really great to see that they're moving and being aggressive with that. What we've not seen, though, are the Romans attempting to consolidate some of these regions up to the north, which is going to be really important. So essentially catching everything south of the Alps there, to keep the barbarians and the Greeks out. You want to be able to establish that line in here and to be able to defend that, giving you the opportunity to then move out into these islands, to perhaps stab the Greeks in the side there, perhaps to go down and to cut off the Carthaginians in that direction, or perhaps even make a go at the Iberian Peninsula there. So if you're able to consolidate those regions in there, it gives you really good opportunities to be able to push out and attack in other places. But you can see that Rome hasn't actually done that on this turn. And I think part of that is because two of their armies are actually so small that it would be incredibly risky if they went out and they attacked to the north. You can see because the barbarians have been so aggressive there, if they attacked up here, lost a main battle card, that would place them in a really weak position against this barbarian army that could come down, knock them out, and then actually start to press onto Rome itself. And so you wouldn't want to open yourself up that way. So essentially the way that things are starting to look is that you can see that the wall has been formed here. You can also see and a wall has been formed up here as well with the Greeks, so we're focusing on the barbarians here. So the barbarians have made great offensive moves up into here. up across there, and are now in a position that they can be offensive against the Romans here, actually being able to push and being able to threaten the Romans' home territory, but they're definitely dominant even south of the Alps over here. The Greeks themselves, they have managed to, they're a little bit boxed in here in a way that isn't very helpful, but you can see as well that they have managed to keep the Romans at bay and established a defensive line there. They've got great offensive capabilities coming down into here and great potential to move down there or even onto these islands. As we said, that the Greek navy has also kind of managed to create a bit of a box there, meaning that they're dominating almost half of all of the sea territories there. That also gives them the opportunity as well that they could actually move armies up into here and go around the back of the barbarians there as well. So that's really great to see. The Carthaginians in particular have been really offensive coming up into here and are in a position to be able to establish that wall with the barbarians to keep them at bay. There's also the opportunity to establish a wall up over here somewhere to keep those Greeks out, which is, I think, is going to be absolutely vital when you come to later in the game. So you want to see that after they've come here that they can go and consolidate. There is the opportunity, I suppose, also to attack into Greece or some of these islands, but you're going to have to go through two navies in order to do that, so much riskier to be able to try and do something like that. But you can also see that there is a nice defensive line being established there with Rome. So finally then we come to the Romans themselves, who at the moment are a little bit boxed in. So they've made a great offensive move down into here, and set up to be able to attack into these islands. However, at the moment, hemmed in by the barbarians, in a really precarious situation over here, just where they're up against the Greeks, the opportunity for the barbarians to come down and attack there. And really, as I say, just very, very boxed in at the moment. Not a lot that they're able to do, not able to assert a great sphere of influence over a lot of the board, and that's really going to hurt the Romans if they're not able to turn that around in the future, because at the end of the day, the income and therefore what you can spend in terms of your armies and your navy is going to be really, really vital for making sure that you're able to survive in this game. So you can see how things are getting set up. Barbarians have been really aggressive. Carthage, I think, also. Greeks have been a little bit more cautious and at risk of being hemmed in. And the Romans, I think, in my view, have the weakest start. They've really got to get a move on if they don't want to get caught out here. So that's us at the end of that first turn. Please let me know what sort of things that you're thinking strategically. What might you want to do next in this situation? What do you think is going to happen? And also tell me, I'll put out another quiz as well so that you can answer it there, but also tell me who do you think is in the strongest position as we look to go forwards, and actually some of these offensives are going to happen and some of the battles are going to take place. So do let me know some of those things in the comments below, and really excited to get on with turn number 2, and I will catch you later.